The great crystal hall of Nexus Prime sparkled like a diamond under 3 different suns. Inside this beautiful building, 12 different alien races sat around a massive round table. Each race looked very different from the others. Some had blue skin and gills like fish. Others looked like giant insects with many arms. Some were made of living crystal that glowed softly in the light. Ambassador Veltar from the Water People stood up first. His blue skin was wet and shiny, and he breathed through the gills on his neck. He pressed a button on the table, and pictures appeared in the air above them. "Look at these images," Veltar said in his watery voice. "These come from the new planet called Earth. The beings there call themselves humans." The pictures showed terrible things: wars with thousands of soldiers fighting, cities burning, weapons that could destroy entire areas. The alien leaders watched with shock and fear. "These humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years," Veltar continued. "They make weapons to kill. They train their children to fight. They seem to enjoy violence." The insect leader, Zaktel, clicked his mouthparts together. "My people have studied their history. They never stop fighting. Even when they have peace, they prepare for more war. This is not normal behavior." More pictures appeared. Humans in armor carrying guns. Humans building tanks and warships. Humans teaching their young ones how to use weapons. To the peaceful aliens, it all looked like madness. The crystal being called Luxara glowed brighter as she spoke. "In 10,000 years of galactic peace, no civilized race has acted this way. These humans are dangerous. They cannot be trusted. Far." Away on Earth, Captain Lee Tae-min sat in his office at the Earth Defense Force headquarters in Seoul. He was a tall man with kind eyes, but his face showed the worry he felt. On his desk, a communication device beeped with an incoming message. The message was not in any human language. Strange symbols moved across the screen, but the computer slowly translated them into Korean, then into English. As Tae-min read the words, his face grew pale. "Dr. Park," he called to his assistant, "get Dr. Park So-jin here right now." Dr. Park So-jin arrived 20 minutes later. She was a small woman with bright, intelligent eyes who had spent her whole life studying the possibility of alien life. She had always dreamed of the day humans would meet other species from the stars, but this was not the meeting she had hoped for. "Read this," Tae-min said, handing her the translated message. Dr. Park read the words slowly. "To the violent species of Earth. The Galactic Council has judged your people. You are too dangerous to join civilized space. You will stay in your solar system. You will not travel to other stars. We will watch you, but we will not trust you. This decision cannot be changed." Dr. Park sat down heavily in a chair. "They've been watching us?" "It seems so," Tae-min replied. "And they don't like what they see." Back on Nexus Prime, the alien leaders continued their meeting. Ambassador Thexanol from the Plant Collective spoke next. His voice sounded like wind through leaves. "We have seen how these humans treat their own planet," he said. "They cut down forests, they pollute their water, they kill animals for food. This is not the behavior of a civilized race." "But what should we do about them?" asked Chancellor Morveth. She was from a race that looked like living gems, and her voice rang like bells. Veltar had the answer ready. "We surround their solar system. We watch them. We make sure they never leave their small space. If they try to build ships that can travel between stars, we stop them." "And if they refuse to obey?" asked the insect leader. "Then we make them obey," Veltar said coldly. The vote was quick. All 12 races agreed. The humans would be prisoners in their own solar system. On Earth, Dr. Park So-jin worked through the night in her laboratory. She had managed to decode more of the alien language. What she learned made her heart sink. These alien races had been watching Earth for 50 years. They had recorded every war, every fight, every violent act humans had ever committed. But they had not tried to understand why humans fought. The aliens came from worlds that were very different from Earth. Some lived in peaceful oceans with plenty of food and no predators. Others grew from the ground like plants, sharing thoughts, and never competing. The crystal people were born from mountains and lived for thousands of years in quiet harmony. None of them had ever faced the challenges that shaped humanity. None of them had to fight wild animals for food. None of them had to compete for limited resources. None of them knew what it meant to protect their families from danger. To these peaceful aliens, all violence looked the same. They could not tell the difference between a soldier protecting innocent people and a criminal hurting others. They could not understand that humans often fought because they cared about something, not because they enjoyed fighting. Dr. Park tried to send messages to the aliens trying to explain, but her messages were ignored. The judgment had been made. 3 days later, Captain Taemin stood on the observation deck of the space station orbiting Earth. Through the large windows, he could see them. Beautiful ships that looked like they were made of crystal and light. They moved in perfect formation around Earth's solar system. The alien blockade had begun. The ships were gorgeous, unlike anything humans had ever built. They seemed to be made of materials that bent light and created rainbows in space. But their beauty could not hide their purpose. They were jailers, and Earth was now a prison. "Sir," said Lieutenant Kim, a young officer who stood beside him. "What do we do now?" Taemin watched the alien ships patrol the edge of their solar system. "We prove them wrong," he said quietly. "Somehow we prove them wrong." Back in her laboratory, Dr. Park Seo-jin made one more discovery that filled her with dread. The alien races had been living in peace for so long that they had forgotten how to defend themselves. They had no armies, no weapons, no knowledge of war. She wondered what would happen if something dangerous ever came to their peaceful galaxy. Something that did not care about their peaceful ways. Something that wanted to hurt them. But the aliens were not worried about such things. In their experience, all intelligent life was peaceful. They believed that violence was a choice, not sometimes a necessity. They had judged humanity and found them wanting. Now the galaxy would continue its peaceful existence, protected from the violent humans who were locked away in their small corner of space. The beautiful alien ships continued their patrol, their crews confident that they had made the right choice. They did not know that their decision would one day be tested in ways they could never imagine. On Earth, humanity began to realize they were truly alone in a galaxy that feared them. But they did not know that this fear might one day save everyone. The judgment was complete. The Watchers had taken their positions. And in the vast darkness of space, other things stirred that would soon change everything. 6 months had passed since the beautiful alien ships arrived to guard Earth's solar system. The blockade had become a strange part of daily life for humans. Children pointed at the sparkling ships through telescopes. Scientists studied them from afar. But no one could get close enough to really understand them. Commander Kim Dae-ho flew his patrol ship along the edge of human space every day. His job was to watch the Watchers. The alien ships moved in perfect patterns, like a dance, in the darkness of space. They never came too close to Earth, but they never went away either. "Same pattern as yesterday," Kim reported into his radio. 12 ships in outer formation, 6 ships in inner ring. They're still just watching us. Kim was a quiet man who had spent 20 years in space. He had seen many strange things, but nothing like these alien vessels. They were so beautiful that sometimes he forgot they were his jailers. On the alien monitoring station, observer Thexnall studied screens full of human activity. He belonged to a race that looked like tall, thin, people made of silver metal. His kind lived for logic and order. The chaotic behavior of humans confused him greatly. "Look at this," Thexnall said to his assistant. The screen showed human soldiers training with weapons. They practice fighting even when there is no war. Why do they do this? His assistant, a young female called Nexara, watched the images with worry. Perhaps they plan to attack us. No, Thexnall said slowly. I have watched them for months. They practice fighting, but they also help each other. They train children to fight, but they also teach them to heal the wounded. I do not understand these creatures. Back on Earth, Lieutenant Colonel Choi Min-ho worked late in the Deep Space Monitoring Center. Banks of computers and screens surrounded him, all scanning the darkness beyond the solar system. His job was to look for anything unusual in the vast emptiness of space. Most nights he found nothing. Space was mostly empty and quiet, but tonight was different. "What is that?" he whispered to himself, staring at one of his screens. The computer showed energy readings from very far away. Something big was moving out there in the dark space between star systems. The energy pattern was strange, not like anything humans or the peaceful aliens used. Choi checked his readings 3 times. Then he called his superior officer. "Sir, I'm seeing something unusual. Energy signatures moving toward our galaxy. They're still very far away, but they're definitely heading this way." "Could it be more alien ships?" his commander asked. "I don't think so, sir. The energy pattern is completely different. It's aggressive." Meanwhile, on the alien research station orbiting a nearby star, Dr. Shin Hee-won studied humans with growing confusion. She was from the water people, like Ambassador Veltar. Her race had lived in peaceful oceans for millions of years. They had never known war or violence. "These humans are so strange," she told her research partner. "Watch this recording." The screen showed a human father teaching his young son how to throw a ball. It looked innocent enough. But then the father began teaching the boy how to fight, how to defend himself if someone tried to hurt him. "Why would a parent teach a child violence?" Dr. Shin asked. "In my world, parents teach children to swim and find food. These humans teach their young ones to hurt others." But Dr. Shin missed something important in the recording. She did not hear the father's words. "I hope you never have to use this, son. But if someone tries to hurt you or your family, you must be ready to protect them." To the peaceful alien, it just looked like teaching violence. She could not understand the difference between aggression and protection. On Earth, Professor Yankite made an important discovery in his research laboratory. He had been studying the alien races for months, trying to understand how they thought. What he learned surprised him. "Dr. Park," he called excitedly to his colleague. "You need to see this." Dr. Park Seo-jin hurried to his computer. "Professor," Yang showed her his research about the 12 alien races in the Galactic Council. "Every single one of these races evolved on perfect worlds," he explained. "The water people lived in oceans with no storms and plenty of food. The plant people grew on worlds with perfect weather and rich soil. The crystal people formed in mountains with no earthquakes or disasters." "What does this mean?" Dr. Park asked. "It means none of them ever had to fight to survive. They never faced dangerous predators. They never had to compete for limited food or water. Their evolution was peaceful because their worlds were peaceful." Dr. Park understood immediately. But Earth was different. Exactly. Earth was a dangerous world. Humans had to fight wild animals, survive harsh weather, and compete for resources. We learned to be violent not because we wanted to, but because we had to. It was the only way to survive and protect our families. Professor Yang pulled up more data. "Look at this. Every peaceful alien race has unlimited resources on their homeworlds. They never learned about war because they never needed to fight for anything. This was a crucial discovery, but the aliens monitoring Earth did not understand its importance. When Professor Yang tried to send this information to the alien blockade, his messages were ignored. Far beyond the galaxy's edge, something ancient stirred in the darkness. The Devourers had been sleeping for thousands of years, drifting through empty space like gigantic metal whales. But now, the expanding energy signals from the peaceful galactic civilization had reached them and woken them from their slumber. The first Devourer scout ship opened its metal eyes and tasted the energy. Signatures carried on cosmic winds. So much life. So many peaceful, defenseless worlds. The scout ship began to call to its sleeping brothers. Back in human space, Lieutenant Colonel Choi Min-ho tracked the strange energy signatures getting stronger each day. He created detailed reports and sent them to the alien monitoring stations, hoping they would listen. "Unknown energy sources approaching galactic rim," his report said. "Recommend investigation. Energy patterns suggest possible hostile intent, but the peaceful aliens could not understand his warnings. They had sensors designed to find planets and study peaceful civilizations. Their technology was not built to detect threats because they had never needed to worry about threats. Observer. Texnol read Choi's reports with confusion. The humans keep sending us warnings about hostile energy patterns. What does this mean? All energy is just energy. How can energy be hostile? His assistant Nexara agreed. These humans see danger everywhere. This is probably just their violent nature making them paranoid. The reports were filed away and forgotten. On Earth, Captain Kim Gi-won led a secret project to modify human ships with better sensors. If the aliens would not listen to their warnings, humans would have to investigate the strange signals themselves. We can't get past the blockade with our current ships, he told his team. But if we can build something faster and quieter, maybe we can slip through and see what's coming. His chief engineer, Oh Hyo-jin, worked day and night on the new designs. She was a brilliant woman who had spent years studying the alien ships from a distance. I think I understand how their energy systems work, she told Captain Kim. If we can copy some of their technology, we might be able to build ships they can't detect. While humans worried about the approaching threat, the peaceful galaxy continued its normal life. On thousands of worlds, alien civilizations grew their crops, studied art, and lived in harmony. They had no armies, no weapons, and no fear. They had never needed to be afraid before. But in the darkness between stars, the devourers were waking up one by one. Soon they would begin their long journey toward the bright, peaceful galaxy full of defenseless prey, and only the violent humans seemed to sense that something terrible was coming. In the cold darkness between stars, something very old and very hungry opened its eyes for the first time in 1,000 years. The Devourer mothership was larger than a human city, made of black metal that seemed to eat light itself. Its hull was covered with strange symbols that glowed red like burning coals. Inside the massive ship, the Devourer Queen stretched her 6 long arms and tasted the cosmic winds. Her kind had been traveling through space for millions of years, hunting and feeding on living worlds. They were the perfect predators, patient, intelligent, and completely without mercy. So much life, she whispered to herself in a voice like grinding metal. So many soft, peaceful worlds. It has been too long since we fed. Around her, thousands of smaller devourer ships began to wake up. Each one was a hunter designed for one purpose: to find civilized worlds and consume every living thing on them. Meanwhile, Captain No Sung-woo sat alone in his small monitoring station at the very edge of human space. His job was the loneliest in the solar system, to watch the empty darkness and report anything unusual. For 2 years, he had seen nothing but stars and cosmic dust. But today was different. His sensors screamed with warnings as massive energy signatures appeared on his screens. Ships, dozens of them, moving toward the galaxy in perfect formation. They were still very far away, but they were definitely coming. Captain No's hands shook as he sent an urgent message to Earth Command. This is Deep Space Station 7. I have multiple unknown contacts approaching from Galactic Rim. Request immediate backup and investigation. The message reached Admiral Bae Yeon-soo within minutes. She was a stern woman with gray hair who had spent 40 years protecting Earth from threats both known and unknown. When she read Captain No's report, her face grew very serious. Get me a direct line to the alien blockade, she ordered her communications officer. They need to see this. But when Admiral Bae tried to contact the alien ships guarding Earth, her calls were ignored. The peaceful aliens had decided months ago that human military communications were probably lies or tricks. On the alien monitoring station, Coordinator Vexilum read the human warnings with annoyance. He was from the Crystal People, a race that lived for thousands of years and believed in careful, slow thinking. The humans are sending us their war reports again, he told his assistant. They claim to see hostile ships approaching. This is obviously their violent nature making them see enemies where none exist. His assistant, a young crystal being named Luxmaner, glowed nervously. What if they are telling the truth? Vexilum's crystalline face showed no emotion. Impossible. We have had galactic peace for 10,000 years. No hostile species exists in known space. The humans are simply trying to trick us into letting them leave their solar system. Back on Earth, Dr. Kang Teo worked frantically in the Military Strategy Center. He was one of humanity's best tactical minds, a man who had studied every war and battle in human history. When he saw the sensor data from Captain No's station, he recognized something that terrified him. These movement patterns, he told his team. I've seen them before in old Earth military records. This is how pack hunters move, surrounding their prey before attacking. His assistant, Lieutenant Park Min-ho, looked confused. Pack hunters? You mean like wolves? Exactly like wolves, Dr. Kang replied. But these are ships, not animals, and they're hunting entire solar systems. Dr. Kang immediately began writing detailed reports about the approaching threat. He explained how the unknown ships were using classic predator tactics, spreading out to surround the galaxy, cutting off escape routes, preparing for a coordinated attack. But when he sent these reports to the alien blockade, they were dismissed as human military fantasies. Far across the galaxy, Specialist Lee Na-young worked in Earth's most secret listening post. Her job was to intercept and translate alien communications from across known space. She was very good at her work, and she had been learning the languages of many different species. On this day, she picked up something that made her blood run cold. The signals were faint, and in a language she had never heard before. But the translation software slowly began to decode the messages. What she read made her hands shake. Hunt pack leaders report status. Galaxy meat looks soft and ready. Begin approach pattern Delta. Consume ships, prepare for feast time. Lee Na-young ran to her supervisor with the translated message. Sir, I think I've intercepted communications from those unknown ships. They're talking about hunting and consuming, and they mention the galaxy like it's food. Her supervisor, Major Huang Kijun, read the translation with growing horror. Are you sure about this translation? Yes, sir. I've checked it 3 times. These beings, whoever they are, they see our galaxy as a hunting ground, and they've done this before. Major Huang immediately sent the intelligence report to Earth Command, but like all the other warnings, it was ignored by the alien blockade. On the Devourer mothership, the Queen studied holographic maps of the galaxy. Her species had excellent records of their previous hunts, and she could see that this galaxy was perfect for feeding. 12 major species, she noted with satisfaction. All peaceful, no weapons, no defenses. They have grown fat and lazy in their safety. Her chief hunter, a massive devourer called Raxmoth, bowed before her. Queen Mother, the hunt packs report ready. Shall we begin the encirclement pattern? Yes, the Queen hissed, but slowly. Let them continue their peaceful lives while we surround them. When we strike, it will be too late for them to run or hide. The Devourers had done this many times before. They were experts at hunting civilized species. Their method was always the same. Surround the galaxy quietly, then attack all major worlds at once. By the time their prey realized what was happening, it would be over. But this time, something was different. This galaxy had humans in it. Admiral Bai Yun-su made a difficult decision. If the aliens would not listen to warnings, she would have to act without their permission. She began secretly moving human ships toward the edge of the solar system. I don't care about their blockade, she told her fleet commanders. If something is threatening this galaxy, we have a duty to investigate and respond. Captain Lee Jun-seok commanded one of humanity's fastest scout ships. His orders were simple but dangerous. Break through the alien blockade without being detected and investigate the approaching unknown contacts. This is crazy, his co-pilot, Engineer Kim So-ra, whispered as they prepared to launch. If the aliens catch us, they might attack Earth. And if we don't investigate these signals, something worse might happen to everyone, Captain Lee replied. Sometimes you have to take risks to protect people. Using technology developed by studying the alien blockade ships, Captain Lee's vessel slipped past the beautiful Crystal Guardians and headed into deep space. The aliens never detected them. On the alien homeworlds, billions of peaceful beings continued their normal lives. The plant people tended their gardens. The water people swam in their perfect oceans. The crystal people meditated in their mountain homes. None of them knew that death was coming, but in their secret bunkers and hidden bases, human military leaders prepared for the worst. They had spent their whole history learning how to fight impossible odds. They understood that sometimes the only way to protect peace was to be ready for war. The galaxy was about to learn that there was something worse than human violence, the complete absence of any ability to defend yourself when real monsters came calling. And in the darkness between stars, the Devourers continued their slow, patient approach, confident that their next meal would be the easiest they had ever taken. The Rillan Harmony was the most peaceful civilization in the galaxy. Their home system had 7 beautiful planets covered in gardens and parks. The Rillan people looked like walking trees with golden bark and silver leaves that sang in the wind. They had never known war, violence, or fear. On the morning that everything changed, Elder Sileneth was teaching young saplings how to grow healing flowers. The lesson took place in a meadow where purple grass danced under 2 gentle suns. It was a perfect day in a perfect world. Then the sky turned black. "Elder, what is that?" asked a young Rillan named Pippolo, pointing upward with a thin branch arm. Above them, massive dark ships blotted out the suns. The ships were ugly and wrong, made of metal that seemed to eat light. Strange symbols glowed red along their hulls, like wounds in the darkness. Elder Sileneth had lived for 800 years and had never seen anything like these vessels. I do not know, little one. Perhaps they are visitors from a distant star?" The ships began to descend toward the garden world. As they came closer, the Rillan people could see terrible details. The hulls were covered with what looked like teeth and claws. Weapons that pulsed with hungry energy pointed down at the peaceful cities below. "Greetings, unknown visitors," Elder Sileneth broadcast on all communication frequencies. "Welcome to our home. We offer you peace and friendship." The response came immediately, but it was not words. It was a beam of dark energy that struck the ground near the meadow. Where it hit, the purple grass turned black and crumbled to dust. The healing flowers withered and died instantly. "Run, little ones," Elder Sileneth cried, but it was already too late. More beams lanced down from the Devourer ships. They did not aim to destroy buildings or ships. Instead, they targeted every living thing they could find. Trees, grass, flowers, animals, and the Rillan people themselves all began to fade and die as their life energy was drained away. The Rillan people tried to escape, but they had no weapons, no defenses, no armies. They were gardeners and artists and teachers. They knew how to grow beautiful things, but they had no idea how to fight for their lives. Within 3 hours, the first garden world was completely dead. The Devourer ships moved to the next planet, then the next. The entire Rillan Harmony, 7 planets and billions of peaceful beings, was consumed in less than 1 day. The last transmission from their system was Elder Sileneth's final message. "Please, someone help us. We don't understand. Why? Are they doing this?" Then silence. On Earth, General Park Jae-sung watched the sensor readings with growing horror. His monitoring stations had detected massive energy bursts from the Rillan system, followed by complete communications blackout. "Sir," reported his aide, Lieutenant Yu Haijin, "all signals from Rillan space have stopped. It's like the entire civilization just disappeared." General Park had fought in many battles during his career. He had seen the worst of human violence and warfare. But this was something different. This was not war. It was extermination. "Get me Admiral Bay immediately," he ordered, "and prepare our fastest ships for emergency deployment." Meanwhile, Commander Yu Min-seok received secret orders to move his small fleet toward the Rillan system. His ships were old Earth destroyers, built for fighting wars that the peaceful galaxy thought were impossible. "I know this breaks the quarantine," Admiral Bay told him over a secure channel. "But if we don't act now, more innocent people will die. Commander Yu understood. Permission to break blockade and engage unknown hostiles? Permission granted. Show them what human ships can do. On the alien monitoring station, chaos erupted when the news of Rillan's destruction reached them. Observer Thexnell stared at his screens in complete confusion. This cannot be real, he said to his assistant. Entire civilizations do not just disappear. There must be some mistake. But the data was clear. 7 planets full of life had gone completely silent in a matter of hours. No distress calls, no evacuation attempts, just sudden total death. Sir, Nexara said quietly, the humans are moving ships toward the Rillan system. They're breaking the quarantine. Stop them, Thexnell ordered. They cannot be allowed to leave their solar system, especially not now when everything is confusing. But when the alien blockade ships tried to intercept the human vessels, they discovered something shocking. The human ships were faster and more maneuverable than expected. Worse, they seemed to be designed for something the aliens had no experience with: us combat. On the crystal world of Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The great hall that had been so beautiful and peaceful now felt cold and frightening. Chancellor Morveth's crystal body flickered with nervous energy. How is this possible? We have had peace for 10,000 years. Civilizations do not just disappear. Ambassador Veltar's blue skin had turned pale gray with fear. The Rillan Harmony was one of our oldest member civilizations. They were completely peaceful. Who could want to hurt them? Perhaps it was a natural disaster, suggested the insect leader Zaktel. But his voice lacked conviction. Then a new report arrived that made everyone freeze with terror. Long-range sensors had detected the same dark ships moving toward another peaceful system, the Gentle Tides, where the Water People's cousins lived in floating cities on warm seas. We must send ships to investigate, declared Luxara. We must discover what happened and help any survivors. But when the Galactic fleet reached the edge of Rillan space, they found something that broke their minds. 7 dead worlds spinning silently around their star. No life. No energy signatures. No hope. The investigation team, led by Captain Hexalon of the Crystal Confederation, sent back reports that filled the peaceful aliens with a new emotion they had never experienced before: pure terror. The planets are intact, Captain Hexalon reported. But every living thing is gone, not destroyed, consumed. The energy signatures suggest that something drained the life force from entire worlds. Back on Earth, Dr. Ryu Dong-wook worked frantically with engineer Oh Hyo-jin to modify human weapon systems. They had finally obtained samples of galactic energy technology from the blockade ships, and they were discovering amazing possibilities. If we can combine human weapons with alien power sources, Dr. Ryu explained, we might be able to build something that can actually fight these attackers. Engineer Oh's hands flew over her computer controls. The alien energy systems are incredibly powerful, but they were never designed for warfare. If we can weaponize them using human military knowledge, we might have a chance, Dr. Ryu finished. They worked through the night creating hybrid technologies that should not have been possible. Human aggression combined with alien innovation, violence married to peaceful science. The first Galactic Defense Fleet, 12 beautiful exploration vessels with no weapons, approached the dark ships near the Gentle Tide system. The fleet was commanded by Admiral Zenkala, a being of pure light who had lived for 2,000 years of unbroken peace. Unknown vessels, Admiral Zenkala broadcast. We come in peace. We wish to understand what happened to the Rillan people. Please respond. The Devourer response was swift and terrible. Dark energy beams lanced out from the alien ships, striking the peaceful vessels. But instead of destroying them, the beams began draining the life energy from their crews. Admiral Zenkala watched in horror as his bridge crew began to fade and die. This is impossible, he whispered. Why would anyone do such a thing? He never got an answer. Within minutes, the entire galactic fleet was dead, their ships drifting empty in space. On Earth, Admiral Won Kyung-min received desperate communications from across the galaxy. Species that had condemned humanity as too violent were now begging for help. "Please," came a transmission from the Crystal Confederation. "We do not understand warfare. We do not know how to fight. Our people are dying, and we do not know what to do." Similar messages arrived from the Water People, the Plant Collective, and 6 other peaceful races, all asking the same thing: could the violent humans help them survive? Admiral Wan looked at the messages with sadness. These same aliens had judged humanity unfit for galactic civilization. Now they needed human violence to save their peaceful lives. "Prepare all fleets," he ordered his staff. "It's time to show the galaxy why humans learned to fight." The irony was not lost on anyone. The species judged too dangerous for galactic society was about to become its only hope for survival. Fleet Admiral Song Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the Earth battleship Defender, looking out at the largest human fleet ever assembled. 150 ships floated in perfect formation around Earth, their hulls gleaming silver in the sunlight. These were not exploration vessels or peaceful research ships. These were warships, built by a species that had learned to fight or die. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Pak Soo-jin. Admiral Song nodded grimly. Behind him, the beautiful alien blockade ships still maintained their positions. But now they were no longer jailers. They were silent witnesses to humanity's greatest moment. "Open a channel to the Galactic Council," Admiral Song ordered. Chancellor Morveth's crystal face appeared on the main screen. For the first time since humans had known her, the proud alien leader looked small and frightened. "Admiral Song," she said quietly, We need your help. Our people are dying and we do not know how to save them." "We know," Admiral Song replied. "We've been trying to warn you for months. These devourers are hunters. They've done this before to other galaxies." "How? Do you know this?" asked Ambassador Veltar, his blue skin pale with fear. "Because we understand predators," Admiral Song explained. "We've been fighting them our whole history. Not because we wanted to, but because we had to." Lieutenant Colonel An Si-young worked frantically at the Galactic Coordination Center, teaching peaceful aliens the basics of survival. Her students were the surviving military leaders from 12 different species, all desperately trying to learn concepts their civilizations had forgotten. "Listen carefully," she told a group of Crystal People officers. "Your ships are beautiful, but they have no armor, no weapons, no shields. You cannot fight the devourers with exploration vessels." "But we do not understand warfare," protested Captain Luxmaner. "We have never needed to hurt others." "Then you need to learn quickly," An replied. "Because if you don't learn to fight, you will all die." She showed them tactical displays of the devourer fleet movements. "See how they surround each system before attacking? They're pack hunters. They cut off escape routes and then feed on everything that lives." The alien officers stared at the battle plans with complete confusion. Terms like flanking maneuvers and defensive positions meant nothing to beings who had lived in peace for thousands of years. Captain Li Wu-jin led his destroyer squadron toward the Nexus defense line, where the devourers were massing for their final assault on the galaxy's core worlds. His ships were outnumbered 1,000 to 1, but they carried something the enemy had never faced before: weapons designed by survivors. "Remember," he told his pilots over the radio, "we're not trying to win this battle. We're trying to buy time for the civilians to escape." His tactical officer, Major Kim So-young, studied the enemy formations. "Sir, they're moving in the classic wolf pack pattern. If we can break their lead ships, the rest might scatter." Captain Lee smiled grimly. "Then let's show these monsters what happens when they hunt something that knows how to bite back." No. The Devourer mothership. The Queen studied reports from her scouts with growing confusion. These human creatures were not behaving like the other peaceful species. Instead of running or surrendering, they were actually fighting back. "How many ships do these humans have?" she asked her chief hunter. "Only a few hundred, Queen Mother," Raxmoth replied. "But they are different. They have weapons we have not seen before, and they fight in ways that suggest experience with warfare. The Queen's 6 arms clicked together nervously. Impossible. The Galaxy Scouts reported that all species here were peaceful gardeners and artists. Perhaps the Scouts were wrong, Queen Mother. Meanwhile, Dr. Han Mi-young made a discovery that changed everything. Working in her laboratory on Earth, she had been studying devourer biology from samples collected by human scout ships. "Commander Yu," she called excitedly to her military liaison. "I figured out why the devourers do this." Commander Yu Min-jae hurried to her lab station. "What did you find, Doctor?" "They're not just predators," Dr. Han explained, pointing to her research data. "They're farmers. They let peaceful civilizations grow and develop for thousands of years, then harvest them when they're fat and defenseless." "Like cattle," Commander Yu whispered in horror. "Exactly. The devourers have been doing this across the universe for millions of years. They cultivate peaceful galaxies, then consume them. But they've never encountered a species like humans before." "What makes us different?" Dr. Han smiled. "We're poisonous to them. Our capacity for violence, our warrior instincts, our willingness to fight and die for others, it's like acid to their feeding process. They can't digest aggressive species." This information reached the human fleet just as the first major battle began at the Nexus defense line. Major General Lim Jun-ho coordinated the defense from his command ship, watching as devourer vessels surrounded the last major population center in the galaxy. Millions of peaceful aliens, water people, plant collective members, crystal beings, and others, huddled in their cities below, completely helpless. "All human ships, this is General Lim," he broadcast. "We are the only thing standing between these monsters and innocent civilians. Remember why we fight. Not because we love war, but because we love peace enough to die for it." The battle was fierce and terrible. Human ships, small and outnumbered, darted between massive devourer vessels like angry hornets attacking bears. Every human ship that fell took dozens of enemy vessels with it. Captain Jang Tae-hyun piloted his fighter through a storm of enemy fire, targeting the devourer ship's feeding apparatus. "This is for the Rillan children," he whispered as he flew his damaged ship directly into an enemy vessel's energy core. On worlds across the galaxy, peaceful aliens watched the battle through their communication networks. They saw human ships burning in space. They saw human pilots sacrificing their lives to protect people they had never met. For the first time in 10,000 years, the peaceful species began to understand what courage looked like. Admiral Ko Young-soo led the final assault on the Devourer mothership. His fleet was down to 12 ships, all heavily damaged, but they pressed forward through the enemy's defensive line. "This is Admiral Ko to all remaining ships," he broadcast. "We end this here. For Earth, for the galaxy, for everyone who cannot fight for themselves." The human ships concentrated all their fire on the mothership's core. Hybrid weapons, human, violence combined with alien technology, tore through the Devourer Queen's defenses. Inside the mothership, the Queen felt something she had never experienced in millions of years of hunting: fear. "How is this possible?" she screamed as her ship shook under human weapons fire. "They are just one small species." "Queen Mother," gasped her dying chief hunter, I think we chose the wrong galaxy to hunt." The mothership exploded in a burst of dark energy, and with it died the last of the Devourer's coordinated fleet. The remaining enemy ships, leaderless and confused, scattered into deep space. 6 months later, Captain Jang Tae-hyun stood before the reformed Galactic Council. He was one of the few human pilots who had survived the Great Battle. His uniform was covered with medals from 12 different alien species. "The galaxy owes humanity a debt we can never repay," Chancellor Morveth said, her crystal body glowing with gratitude. "We judged you as too violent for our civilization. We were fools." "We were wrong about everything," added Ambassador Veltar. "You fight not because you enjoy violence, but because you love peace enough to protect it." Captain Jang looked out at the assembled alien representatives. Many of them were learning basic self-defense for the first time in their species' history, taught by human instructors. "We never wanted to be warriors," he said quietly. "But our world taught us that sometimes violence is the only way to stop. Greater violence, Sometimes you have to fight monsters so that innocent people can live in peace. Ambassador Imsora, newly appointed as humanity's representative to the Galactic Council, stood to deliver the final statement. "We have learned something important together," she said. "Peace is not the absence of the capacity for violence. True peace is having the strength to protect those who cannot protect themselves." She looked around the great crystal hall where human advisors now worked alongside alien diplomats, teaching them the bitter lessons Earth had learned through thousands of years of survival. "We don't fight because we hate what's in front of us," Ambassador Im concluded. "We fight because we love what's behind us." The galaxy had finally learned the difference between violence and protection, and for the first time in 10,000 years they were truly safe, guarded by the species they had once condemned as too dangerous to trust. Humanity had proven that sometimes the strongest shield is carried by those who know the cost of breaking it.